p.m. everybody. Welcome to today's governance call. This is governance number 55 for September 1st, 2022. We're going to get started. I guess we'll get started right now. I have one thing that did slip in under the wire, but I'll definitely try to wing it and get it in here and put it in the slides after the fact. But let's see here. How many people do we have? We have enough people, we can get started. The regulars are here. Stragglers will come in a second. So we'll go ahead and get started, and we'll ad-lib the last part of that for Kent in his draft proposal that he just was able to submit. But welcome everybody. Like I've said, this is governance call number 55. We're really moving along here in the governance call. So it's interesting to see the evolution of everything. I don't know if you guys have ever gone back and looked at like some of the very early governance calls and then, seen how the format has grown and how we built this out and we continue to evolve it. So it's a very great process that we're doing here. For anyone that has not been ever to one of our governance calls, this is we go over once a week. We go over the last 7 days of everything that's happened within our governance within the ShapeShiftDAO. We will give time for anyone that has put any recent posts or proposals or even interesting topics within our forum. We'll give them some time to come up on stage and discuss and give some explanation to the community to the reasoning for that, what they'd like to see, the outcomes, and allow our community to ask questions and get further information regarding any of those topics. So, excuse me, we also have an agenda we usually follow here, and we start off with some appreciations. So I will get it started, but it's open to anyone else to either type them in the stage chat, follow along in there, or they can jump up on stage if they have the ability to, or even raise their hand and I'll bring you up on stage. There's many ways that we can show these appreciations for our fellow community members. I'll start it off with a very simple, I'm very appreciative of just everyone within the DAO that continues, no matter what the market conditions are, no matter the fluctuations in different assets that we might deal with, whether it's ETH on mainnet or whether it's Fox token. We still come in and we still put our effort forward, we contribute, and we continue to build here within the ShapeShift DAO. So appreciations to all those people that continue to do that and continue to push forward and just keep growing and building and making things so much better going forward. So thank you everyone for that. If we have any other appreciations, I'm going to check the stage chat real quick. Thank you, Hunt. Hunt says he appreciates me. Much appreciated. We definitely been a while. I know we've already passed our anniversary, some of us here within the DAO as new members that joined the community. And we definitely have seen a lot in this very short time we've been here. So we appreciate everyone for accepting us, and Hunt was very accepting of a lot of us initial wannabe contributors to ShapeShift DAO. So always appreciate that. Tyler just posted something here. I appreciate H. Payne's energy, spirit, tenacity, and problem solving. His work to get the AllFox data for marketing with superhero work. There you go. Some nice appreciations there, H. Payne, for the work that went into yesterday's AllFox. If anyone has some extra time and wants to catch that recording, it's always a good one to catch up on, like the work stream activities, the goals, and any KPIs or any metrics that they set forth, as well as what they're looking to accomplish going forward. This is held once a quarter, so it's a good call to catch if you have not caught that up yet. Definitely do that. See any more appreciations? Willie Fox. GM, sir. Go right
GM
ahead.
never was. +1 to all the appreciation so far. Do you prefer that we post the appreciation in the stage, or is it cool if I just
No, you
jump up here?
jump right up. Go ahead, Willie. Go, no problem.
Awesome. I definitely appreciate each and every one of you. +1 to the appreciation for H Pain, and also want to give a shout out to Arena. It's been both H Pain and Arena have done just an amazing job of taking over a lot of the marketing operations, and so really appreciate them for that. And I love H Pain and Arena's energy. I also want to give a shout out to Tyler and the whole ops squad for also supporting um, taking over the marketing operations, and congrats on that proposal passing. Um, I'm just really impressed lately with all the improvements that we're making in terms of tracking and processes and making sure that things have clear ownership. I've just been really happy to see all of that and appreciate you guys for that. And I want to appreciate Giant Ken. Giant Ken is just always so active and taking on more responsibilities lately, and has just been an incredible supporter of the community since the beginning. So really appreciate all of you and everyone on the call today. GM.
Thanks, Willie. Definitely. I would definitely second all of that appreciations that you said as well. Goes a long way. We have a lot of great community members that really, you know, work hard to get everything going for everyone else and pave the way for other people to be able to become more contributors. So thank you, and thank you to you, Willie, as well. I also see PTT said thank you, Willie Fox. +1 to GK as well. What else we got here? PTT Cruiser, thanks to the marketing team and their tenacity. We've got Sai saying yay GK. Some more love for GK in there. GK is pretty popular, I guess. Uh, let's see. Yep, appreciate Psychedelic as well. Yes, of course, the whole mod squad team. They're here at hours that most of us wouldn't think about being here. They're definitely here and making sure that the community is well protected and taken care of. Okay, that looks like most of the appreciations here. Uh, got some back and forth on the stage that it's always good to follow along with. But thank you, everyone. And to those that we might not have thanked, I'm definitely going to go now and check out the past appreciations that might have been posted in our channel that is set up for appreciations. Give me 1 second to get down there. And also to anyone who hasn't ever taken a look, we do post the slides that we are going, the slide deck that I'm going off of. This is posted after the fact. So if anyone wants to follow along and catch up on the slides, they're welcome to after. See here, I'm not seeing my appreciation channel. Where did it go? Wonder why I'm missing it. Sorry, guys. I have a lot of channels. There it is, Fox Props. Okay, so anything new? Actually, pretty quiet in there. So that was probably not really needed. The last Fox prop we have was to Willie Fox, and that was for something we talked about last week for the DAO and the key collections being added on Zapper. So we'll go ahead and reiterate that one more time. And then we'll move on to our next slide, which is live proposals. So we have one live proposal, one just actually finished a few hours ago. So this one just ended. This was the SCP-99 addendum to SCP-91 proposal for Tyler and ShapeShift, Tyler ShapeShift to become interim marketing workstream leader. So this did pass, and we'll see the steps that are put in place going forward as an interim workstream leader for the marketing team. And so Congratulations on everyone that voted on that. We appreciate either vote for any proposal. This vote actually, I didn't see any against votes, so it looked like it was unanimous. 4.2 million votes. So congratulations to that.
Thanks,
Tyler,
everyone.
would you jump up here? Go ahead.
Yep, snuck up right behind you, Jim.
No problem.
And Jim, Fox fam, thanks for the votes and the vote of confidence there. We plan to have a marketing office hours at some point on the calendar within the next 2 weeks, where we can deep dive into a lot of the plans on what we're looking at focusing and developing, rebuilding, rehabilitating, and maybe cutting off of our focus as we have a more trimmed team of resources. So thank you for your vote of confidence. I look forward to sharing all of the updates, both in the work stream and in the future search for a potential good fit in the work stream leader as we develop all of this. So thank you very much. And Jim.
Thank you, Tyler, GM. And I did get a chance to look back at stage chat again. And I do see that I missed one. Thank you, GK. Big appreciations from DeFi Cafe, Xerox DeFi Cafe, to Ocean for his technical program management experience and the guidance he has given DeFi and I guess his team lately, helping drive us towards our goal of parity and user migration, and the continual commercial focus that he has towards the DAO. So that is a great appreciation. Thank you, Ocean, for that. Sorry that I missed that when I was looking for my Foxy Props, my Fox Props channel that for some reason was hidden around me. And Willie, you better not sneak that in. On me, I already got Kent sneaking something in. I don't need you sneaking more in, but we can definitely talk about it. There'll be time if you want to jump up on stage and talk about it. Yeah, distractions. Yeah, keep it up. All right. So the next proposal that we have that is currently live for a couple more days is SCP 100 Engineering Workstream Budget Renewal for September 2022. This is proposed by our current workstream engineering workstream leader, DeFi Cafe. DeFi, if you want to jump up, feel free, but I know you've spoken about this a couple times, so you might not have a need to. But in either case, if he does jump up or not, he is up here, but everyone go vote, cast your votes for this. There's still some time left, but go ahead, DeFi GM.
GM never was. I don't really want to just talk for the sound of my own voice. But yeah, there hasn't really been any discussion, and hopefully this one goes through smoothly. If you haven't voted already, please do. We need engineering to build things, but yeah, I appreciate the support and don't really want to take up too much time. I'm happy to answer questions if there are in the chat or the forum, but it's been radio silence so far. Apart from nice messages from a few people, which I really appreciate, as does the rest of the team.
Yeah, no, definitely DeFi. Looks like a lot of support for that. Right now, you're at 6.7 million votes for and 0 against. So great job there. Continuing doing a great job leading your work stream. Don't see any questions on stage chat. If anyone does have any questions for DeFi, please feel free to put it in stage chat after the fact if you don't want to raise your hand now and ask him. I don't see any hands raised. Great job, DeFi. Thanks again.
Thanks, sir. All right.
Yes, sir.
I'll let you go back to it.
Thank you. Even though they're trying to delay me. We do have, we talk about boardroom all the time. I'm going to go slow slide by slide just in case people are trying to get some things in there. But ideation has moved to snapshot. We don't talk much about boardroom anymore. We do have a ideation proposal that passed for Metaphoro. This is something that Willie was talking about for delaying a little bit, but Metaphoro looks like it could be a great solution possibly going forward. And Willie Fox is going to get that proposal up for the community to read and vote on. So we're looking forward to having that up for our community to vote. So please look forward to that. It should be going up without any pressure on Willie, but it should be going up very soon. And once that happens, we will be able to do quite a few more things, combining our forum within our voting process for ideation as well on Snapshot. And there's a lot of other features that are nice to have with within Metaphoro. So if you want to take a look at that, please do. And check out that proposal when it goes up. I actually did put this slide in here in anticipation that Willie would try to put this up as a proposal soon. I did leave the ideation part on there, but I definitely wanted to talk about that recently closing. So Willie, if you do want to come up for any reason to talk about your future plans, or if you just want to put it in the proposal, that's fine, but you're welcome to come up and talk about it a little bit more if you ever want to today. But I know you've spoken on it quite a few times, so you might not need to. You're getting it in the real proposal. So everyone look forward to that. Should be SCP 101 once it's posted. Keep an eye out for that.
Thanks, Neverwas. I'll have this live imminently. About to press the final buttons. I'll post the link in stage chat as soon as it's live. And yeah, I think you're right that we've covered this pretty well so far. But we're now in the final stage. So definitely, if anyone has not checked out Metaphoro yet, I really encourage you to check out this proposal, play around with Metaphoro, because once the proposal passes, we'll be moving forward and migrating from Discourse to Metaphoro. And again, their team has been very receptive to any feedback or feature request. Arena had a great idea for a feature that would be useful to us and also likely useful to other communities. So we shared that with them. And this is our chance. If there's ever anything you guys have dreamt of seeing in a forum tool, and which is even more than a forum tool, it's really just like a platform for our community to coordinate. If you have any ideas for things you'd like to see, please share those with the Metaphoro team. And I look forward to seeing everyone vote on this proposal. Thanks, Nicholas.
No problem. Take your time. Thanks, Willie. All right, next we have a couple incubation drafts, things that have not gone to ideation as of yet, but seem to be on track to do that. First up, we have PTT Cruiser for his draft, which is sponsor a booth at ETH Denver 2023. So GM PTT, I'll allow you go ahead and take it away.
GM Fox Fam. So I moved from basically a polling incubation post to a full incubation post in the proper format, I hope. That is asking for funding of $15,000 for the Treasury to pay an invoice that I would request on the DAO's behalf to get ShapeShift a booth at the lowest tier with the early bird special for ETH Denver 2023. In my correspondence with them via email, it sounds like if we did decide to move up in tiers at all later, let's say the bull market comes back and you want to throw money at it, there's a chance that if there's spots open, we can move up. But this would at least secure us the early bird special and save us about $5,000 on getting a booth at the lowest amount for ETH Denver 2023. It is at a new venue. I believe Kent in the audience had talked about it a little bit. I don't know if that was Monday or one of the days this week. That it's at a new, bigger venue. Last year there was about 12,000 people, and if it continues to grow at the pace that it did from last year to the last time that they had it, we could see 20,000 plus, and I think that's a lot of very dedicated eyes that we could get on the product, especially once we're at parity and starting to build upon that. So if anyone has any questions or concerns, please post in the forum. There's still time to change anything. I do plan to either myself or working with someone else to request more funding close to the event for stuff like updated stuff to hand out, t-shirts maybe, things like that. But that will be closer to the February date. So thank you.
Thanks, PTT. Thank you for getting a jump on this and being conscious of our treasury's funds and capabilities of getting things organized and set in place ahead of time so we have the options and stuff. So thank you always. And I did send an invite. I see Ocean jumped up here. I'll just real quickly just say Ocean is up here about incubation draft that he has posted just recently for on the topic of outsource the DAO's responsible disclosure program to Hack and Proof. GM Ocean, how are you?
It never was. Thanks. Doing well. How about yourself?
Good, definitely good. We're up here, we're having a governance call, we're doing good.
Awesome. All right. So this post is really just mainly to kick off some conversation around how to continue the DAO's RDP program, which was established by Mr. Nerdhair while he was the security workstream leader. Since his departure, the program doesn't really have an owner, and there's no defined budget for it, and it's kind of just needs some direction in order to continue. I think it's an important part of our security posture at ShapeShift, and would love to see it continue. Um, and the biggest burden right now is just the administration of it. Basically, there's security researchers that come and disclose vulnerabilities to the DAO. Those disclosures need to be triaged to see if they're valid or invalid, and then if they are valid, what severity we should assign to them, and how much the bounty payout should be. Hack and Proof provides a really nice way of basically outsourcing all of that to their platform. They would do the triage for us. They have a nice UI that any number of DAO members can have access to track these disclosures, and they facilitate the payouts as well with crypto. So it's pretty cool, nice, easy way to do it. The expenses for their platform is $1,200 a month plus 10% of any bounty payouts. And then obviously we also need to fund those bounty payouts. So this current version of this talks about basically a $75,000 budget. Roughly 15,000 of that is to Hack and Proof, and then 60,000 of it would be to potentially paying out bounties that could cover anything from vulnerabilities in our web application, upcoming mobile apps, smart contracts, etc. And if we don't pay any of it out, or we only pay a portion of it out, obviously we retain that. So it's not like we're paying that every year if there's no vulnerabilities disclosed. And the last thing that the current version talks about is basically just identifying someone to own this program, so that there's a single point of contact between Hack and Proof and the DAO. That person would also be responsible for kind of communicating issues back to engineering to get those resolved, or potentially we could have vulnerabilities in other places as well. Maybe it's Discord, maybe it's one of our third-party services like Zendesk or something else, and we would need to be able to deal with those across the work streams. Sounds like there's some appetite for maybe operations to take this in as part of their mandate, and if so, then that would be kind of absorbed into their responsibilities. But it's open for discussion, and I would love any feedback on it that people want to provide.
Thank you. A couple quick questions I had, Ocean, and they might be in the actual post itself, but I do have to go back and read it over a couple times, or when I have time to focus on a little bit more. Was this for what was the time period that this was for? Is this $75,000 ask for 6 months, 4 months, a year? I mean, what is the time period on it?
It's currently for a year. We could certainly modify that, but setting us up for a year makes a lot of sense, just in terms of the amount and knowing that we have a need for it already, given previous track records and kind of current incoming disclosures that are still happening.
Yep, sounds good. And then also the person who would be the point of contact for that. Do you, I mean, I know there were some questions on the forum and you've answered a couple of them. Do you foresee that person would also be kind of responsible for working with maybe an internal team or some type of, I don't know, committee or something that would take the information that was provided by the third party and then choose a Hack and Proof, and then choose as far as what action is to be taken? Obviously, we work to resolve the problems, but then how much the payout is, or does Hack and Proof basically decide what the value of the findings are, and then give us their recommendations? I would assume that on any recommendation, we internally would then discuss it and then go back with it. But what is your thoughts on that? Possible.
Yeah, so the programs you set up within Hack and Proof basically specify specific scope and then bounty payout ranges for different severities of a vulnerability that's disclosed within it. So, for example, like a scope might be like, let's say app.shapeshift.com. We say that vulnerability is discovered within that domain or that code base. These are the budget for that, where, for a low vulnerability issue, or low severity issue, we pay out, 200 to 500, medium severity, 500 to 5K, and then high severity, maybe it's, 5K to 20K or something like that. Hackenproof uses a standardized framework called CVSS for the critical, like the vulnerability scoring. I can post a link to that too, but it's a pretty commonly used scoring mechanism. And then based on that, they assign a score, and they, based on the ranges that you've set, also would recommend a payout. You, as the program administrator, have the ability to veto that or change it, but they do kind of all the prep work for you. And so I would imagine that for most of the things that are kind of low vulnerability, which is a typical disclosure, we would probably just kind of have that person at their discretion pay those out. And then, if there's something that's more serious and it was more money, then, maybe taking it back to discuss would make sense. But the idea here is that the overhead's really low for kind of the standard things that come in that have to do with headers or some other kind of very innocuous disclosure that we see often.
Definitely. And then like you said, if there were those ranges set in place, depending on the severity of the different classifications that we would have there, obviously I take it that, with the 60,000 that was set aside for that period of time, if we hit one of those crazy ones that were, I know it can go up to very high amounts, but just say, for example, it went over that 60K amount that was allotted, we would then, do you foresee having some type of amendment or going back to the community and asking for more funds for that? Or how do you see that kind of going forward, and not to hinder the process or, make it so that it would be hung up and waiting on some type of governance to go through?
Yeah, if we rip through 60K in bounties and we have some, maybe like a critical vulnerability in a smart contract where someone could have stolen directly millions of dollars, and we decide that, a 10% bounty is reasonable, I think that probably should go to the community, would be my gut on all of it. But so we could increase the amount that's in here, but I think at some level it does pay to loop the community in when it gets to be so large that it's a material expense to the DAO.
Definitely. Thank you. Appreciate your thoughts. I also see that Josh joined us up here on stage. Josh, I know you have some probably some history in dealing with things of this nature, so go ahead and give you the opportunity to speak.
Thanks, Ocean, for putting together. I just had one question, which is the contract with Hackenx, right? That's the name of the group, Hackenproof. Would that be a month to month, or do we sign a contract like paid up front for a year? Just curious what our commit is, and if we were to find some better way in like a couple months, what our options are.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's month to month. So there's no, we can terminate at any time we can terminate at any time. So, if we end up with a security work stream and they want to take this in-house, it's no problem. The other cool thing is that you just basically supply crypto to the wallet that's designated for your account. That is what they fund bounty payouts with, and also their fees with. So they're very comfortable onboarding the DAO directly, which is awesome.
Cool. So that's great. So the budget is for a year, but the commitment is just month to month, and we can terminate at any point. That's great. Do you think you could, when this goes further, if it goes further along the process, could you highlight that in the proposal?
Yep. I'll put some notes in there right now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh, for the questions. And I'll definitely keep an eye on it. I think that, as you said, Ocean, with their 10% fee that they charge, and then if we did for some reason get into the realm of like a 300K vulnerability or something, and we ended up paying 10% on that, and then their 10%. I do see that this could be obviously an expense towards the DAO, so we'll definitely be mindful of those things going forward. But thank you for putting this together and taking the time and effort, as always. Think ahead about options that we have as a community going forward, and taking care of the well-being of many members within the community.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And yeah, I'll make some notes to it, and we'll keep moving it forward.
So appreciate it. Okay, we also have one that got in. We have some new posts and draft proposals that have kind of gotten in. So I'll go through a couple of them that were in there that they have some discussion, lots of back and forth within our forum. Give them the opportunity. I don't know if Mix Moore is in the audience. I don't recognize his forum handle, but if he isn't, that's fine. There's a post if y'all want to check out. It's a DAO Treasury Management Insights. And if you want to take a look at that, it just has some questions about our diversification in the Treasury. And I know Kent talks about this very frequently, so I'm sure there'll be a lot more replies in there and talking about that. We had talked about it last week, but we do see some added talking or discussion on do we want to extend our Fox regen farm. I'll just mention that, but it's just it's been an active thread, so I'll definitely give due call to that. If you guys want to learn more about that and the regen farm, please take a look at that one. We also have a couple a post that made it in under the wire, and this is Kent, and he posted a draft proposal for purchase of the LAAS Fox for 500K. This was Josh actually had asked me for some time on this, Kent, earlier in the day, so I already had put time aside for you guys, so there's no worries here about getting this into the wire. So Kent, welcome up here, and I know that maybe some other TMDC members may possibly want to jump up here and have a discussion or talk about it. Kent, feel free to lead the charge. Thank you, sir. And GM.
Thank you, Never Was. Yeah, thanks for slipping that in at the last minute. And we originally were going to kind of have a little bit more of a non post related discussion around this, kind of as a preparatory phase, but we managed to just get this proposal crafted prior to the call today. So I spoke about this a little bit on the tokenomics call and then during the All Fox yesterday, but this is important for everybody to pay attention to. The reason is we're basically talking about the fate of 15.3 million Fox at current prices. That's about $918,000 worth. So a substantial amount of Fox. This Fox is actually, you know what? Just for to provide context for those that aren't familiar, I'll just read verbatim from my draft proposal real quickly here. In late November 2021, the DAO entered into an agreement with Fate Protocol whereby it supplied Fox in return for improved liquidity on DEXs. This program, which also provided the DAO with Tribe rewards, was part of Tribe's Liquidity as a Service program. Following a hack of Rari Fuse earlier this year and the onset of perceived regulatory pressures, Fate Labs has proposed winding down the entire Fate protocol. As part of these plans, the Tribe community is deciding what to do with the various tokens in its treasury, of which the aforementioned 15.3 million Fox is included. So to kind of make a long story short, in terms of like how the Tribe community is handling this, currently this could kind of really go one of two ways. One is that the community could vote to distribute the Fox it has in its treasury that's in that liquidity as a service contract on a pro rata basis to all Tribe holders. So this would be not necessarily the worst thing in the world. It would actually be kind of a bit of an airdrop, but of course it would produce some short-term price pressure, as some people just kind of saw this as an asset they could quickly swap to ETH or stables or whatever. But that certainly is not like a catastrophic situation. The scenario we were most eager to avoid, we being the TMDC who were really closely monitoring this, was a situation where some third-party actor at random anon, or somebody would come along and purchase all this Fox and then quickly sell that, or I should say purchase it at a discount and then quickly dump that on the market. Even maybe if the discount was wide enough, that would even with slippage, maybe they would be incentivized to do that. That could cause, if that much Fox hit the market, that could cause a lot of price pressure, triggering on something like on the order of like a 22% decline based on some calculations. That scenario, though, is off the table thanks to an offer we made yesterday. So that basically this process that Tribe has is anybody could submit a OTC offer, that's over-the-counter offer for any of the tokens in their treasury that they were talking about in this category, Fox included. Nobody else placed an offer. However, we did. The DAO submitted an offer of $500,000, $500K worth of stable coins for that Fox. So of course that represents a big discount over the, it's 918K worth of value, but this is a discounted amount. The next step is for the Tribe community to vote on whether they want to take the pro rata distribution approach, or they want to accept our offer. So that much remains to be seen. And this is going to be, I think there's two phases to that governance process. We have zero control over it, other than perhaps making a case on the forum why the Tribe would want to do this. It does put stable coins in Tribe's coffers as this wind down occurs. So the important thing here, though, is this does entail, if they do approve the OTC deal, this basically would involve us exchanging 500K of stables for all that Fox. So we talked about whether this would fall under the scope of the TMDC, and if you look at the language of the TMDC, it seems that you could probably make that case. But we're talking about a pretty big deal here. This represents a good chunk off of our runway. Right now we have around 3.5 million. Let me look at the runway here. Yeah, a little over 3.5 million as of yesterday, and 10 months of runway. With a monthly spend of around 380K a month, this would basically move our runway back from June to May of 23. So why are we proposing this? The two main benefits why we're doing this is this would basically allow us to purchase a large amount of Fox at a big discount. That's kind of a no-brainer. Of course, we can't really we don't want to act like an arbitrager in the sense that we're going to purchase this Fox at a big discount and then just dump it on the market and do a quick arb, because we don't want to. That would be detrimental to the DAO and to Fox holders. That's not going to happen. But it would allow us to increase protocol controlled value, which is cool. Crucially, it would also eliminate the threat of the pro rata distribution causing price pressure on Fox. Again, we don't think it would be a ton of price pressure, but that does sort of eliminate that factor of people of new Fox holders just dumping at the market when they get it. Let's see. DeFi Cafe. This 500K of stables would define our downside. Let's see. I will get to this. Yeah, I kind of addressed this in the proposal DeFi. This is sort of like, in a bull market, this would certainly be a no-brainer, where we were, runway wasn't so much of a concern. My God, let's buy more Fox off the market. But even though there are some appealing benefits to this, there are potential drawbacks as well that I really want to draw everybody's attention to as we decide as a community whether or not to do this. Given current projections, this would take a month off of our runway, and also. Right now, purchasing Fox, which is a volatile asset in this bear market, may not be the best idea. You could argue from treasury management standpoint. We already have plenty of Fox in our treasury, and exchanging stable coins for a deprecating asset, something, that's assuming more market bearishness, might not be the best decision given the Dow's limited runway. Also, given the current shaky market, it wouldn't be surprising to see more weakness in the price of Fox. If Fox continues to decline in the interim period between now and when this deal might be consummated, that means that the OTC offer might be less attractive from the Dow's perspective, because the delta between the prevailing market price at the time and the deal we've made for 500K could be less. That's less of a delta there. So that all said, we've kind of discussed this in the TMDC thoroughly. Anybody else in the committee is welcome to jump up here as well. But I'm personally of the belief that this is an acceptable hit to our runway given the circumstances. We are talking about losing a month of runway. It's $500,000. On the other hand, it does sort of remove the ambiguity of having this Fox in the control of somebody else, or in the case of a pro rata distribution, a lot of other people. But the risk does remain that, if we're in a protracted bear market, we could wind up in a situation where we're wishing we had, just let that pro rata distribution happen. There are some knock-on effects if the distribution happens and there is price pressure. That impacts our ability to generate stables via our Olympus bonds and kind of general liquidity. So again, avoiding that scenario is desirable. Yeah, let's just buy. Maybe we just go like super long. We'll just buy a call option. If call options on Fox existed, we would just leverage it all. Go super long.
Hey, Ken, I had a quick question about it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just had a quick question that you might be answering or not. But so this 500,000 that we would be putting up, is there a thought that the TMDC already has access to this from their request, from their budget request? Would it come out of that budget request? Is this something that would be separate from that budget that the TMDC currently basically controls? I mean, what are the thoughts on that, being that it is 500K of our stable fund?
I'm really glad you brought that up, and I just remembered I neglected to add that to the draft post here. But kind of the idea was, I think you can make a case that this might fall under the scope of the TMDC, but I think this is a bigger community decision. The fact that we have a separate proposal for this means that this would not count towards the TMDC's allocation. This proposal effectively removes this specific decision from the scope of TMDC, puts it to the community. So this means it would not be related to the allocation that the TMDC has.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. And then I know that TK had some questions in the tokenomics or the TMDC channel, which one of them, regarding like the 15 million Fox that came back. Would that then become purview underneath the TMDC, or would it just go to the Treasury and add to the total amount of Fox that was available in the Treasury, or does it be the
That is a interesting question. I mean, liquidity as a service was actually set up before the TMDC, I believe, existed, because this was late November. That was prior to, or unless it was kind of right contemporaneous with TMDC. That was also before like the official creation of tokenomics as a work stream. So it was kind of a community decision, if I recall correctly. So you could argue, yeah, we'd have to discuss that a little bit. The important thing is it would be put back into the control of the DAO. I think in the spirit of the TMDC, you could argue that the TMDC asks for an allocation for another 60 million Fox, and that's sufficient to work with. But yeah, that's an interesting case. Hey, Willie, what's up?
Hey, I do remember, and I just confirmed by looking at the proposals that the last program, it was one of the first decisions that was approved by the TMDC before you were.
Oh, interesting.
I think part of the TMDC, yeah.
So this would arguably then maybe just put that 15.3 back into the sort of effective under the scope of the TMDC based on that.
Yeah, and we actually, when we initially provided Fox for the last program, it was less than the 15 mil. So we're getting back more Fox than we put into it. Yeah, of course we've had to pay back some stables, and we'd have to pay back those 500K of stables to get that Fox. And then we also, of course, earn those tribe rewards. But yes, I do think we'd have to figure out exactly how to account for it with the TMDC's budget. That
is an interesting sort of factor too. Thanks to those tribe rewards, we have like 400K, a little over 400K. Those are currently valued at a bit over $100,000 worth of value. So that could, that we could sort of finesse it to coordinate like a tribe sale to fund this purchase to some extent, although we don't want to count on tribe holding any specific price. But those tribe rewards have been useful over the months. And just really quick, also to address DeFi's question here, do these 500K of stables define our downside? So basically, by making this purchase, then yes, this purchase would unambiguously be for $500,000, and we would be purchasing that Fox back. So there really wouldn't be any downside to speak of in that case. In terms of like cascading liquidations, that's more of a factor where you have like a situation where like cascading sales where maybe a pro rata distribution leads to a lot of sell pressure. But from the DAO standpoint, the only liquidations that we really have that we really are beholden to basically are the liquidation points on the two Rari loans, which are that's another Rari Fay type platform, but that's separate from liquidity as a service. Both of those liquidation points are below 1 cent currently. So those, at least at current prices, those are safe. Anyway, sorry to eat up all the governance time. I do think this is an important thing for everybody to keep an eye on here. But please let us know if you have any questions. I think this is a good path forward. And again, I'm glad that the one scenario is out of the question where somebody just buys up all that Fox and then dumps it at market.
No problem. Hey, hang out, Ken. DeFi jumped up on stage. Might have another question for you, and I actually have a question after him. So hang out for a few minutes. Hey, DeFi.
Sure thing.
Okay. Yeah, really quick question. This relates to loan repayments, right? So, like, what I'm trying to understand with that 500K defined downside is that we pay this once off. There's no more loan repayments. There's no more risk of defaulting on those or anything like that. Or is this unrelated to that?
This is separate. So we've been putting about 200K a month towards paying down our Rari loans. Those have not come from our stable stack. We're basically repurposing all the stables that are generated in the Olympus bonds, which continue to generate around like $8,000 a day, or close to 200K a month. We put that directly towards the loans to pay down first the interest and then the principal, and keep those moving down over time. This would have more of a direct impact on the runway itself, because we are in this case taking that 500K directly from our stablecoin treasury, rather than just sort of reallocating those Olympus bond proceeds. So you could say that maybe over the long run, if as things were drying up in terms of our stable treasury, then we would lose our ability to pay those loans. But in practical terms, these are kind of like two separate things.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Sorry, I'm driving.
Hey, John.
I think that DeFi might be asking something different, which is because there was a loan that was basically due to Fay because of the liquidity as a service program, which is separate from the loans that Kent is talking about. Effectively, with Fay winding down, that loan is not going to be a thing. The only thing so we basically get forgiven all that loan is the way this should be thought about. Because the only thing that was collateralizing that loan is this Fox that we're talking about. So if we buy the Fox back, there's nothing else to enforce such a loan, and Fay's winding down anyway, so they don't seem to have any interest in that. So ultimately, we basically never had to pay that loan because there was never they basically were too focused on winding down to deal with it. and we get our Fox back at a discount. Is
Okay.
how we think about it.
Perfect. That really answers what I was after. So this like 500K all said and done, walk away from that, no more debt repayments, our hands are clean.
Exactly. Yeah. The only thing that could enforce a potential debt payment is that collateral. If we have the collateral back, there's no debt.
Perfect. Appreciate the insight, John.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, John. Sorry to miss the meat of your question there, DeFi.
John, jump back down. I was going to say, welcome up to the stage, John. Haven't had the opportunity to talk to you in a while. Now you've been busy. Ken, I had a question, kind of a devil's advocate side of things. So with Willie coming up and confirming that this was kind of like one of the early things that passed by the TMDC, would that then change the purview of the discussion about it coming from TMDC allocations versus, I know you said that, we want to hold a separate community vote and therefore it should be separate from the TMDC allocations, but being that this was a decision that was kind of held by the TMDC in the beginning, and I don't know how I'd have to go back and look, or maybe Willie or someone knows like where the funds came from to initially do this and allocate these funds, if it came out of the TMDC originally or if it was a special vote that came out of the community. But I was just asking, like, as devil's advocate, being now, does that change the conversation a little bit about where the 500K should originate from?
Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of a loaded question. I mean, again, I think you could make a case that the TMDC itself could just, make this decision unilaterally. But in practical terms, it would. I think part of the spirit of this is like by making this a specific proposal and saying it comes out of the DAO treasury. It's sort of like basically, it's doing two things. It's allowing that to happen, but it's also sort of allowing the TMDC to continue to operate at its current allocation and not have to be concerned with getting another allocation. But this is where it gets a little bit, it does get a little bit ambiguous. I think I see John back up on stage here.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, this can obviously be defined in the proposal either way. I mean, I think the only question there is it doesn't really matter where the 500,000 USDC, in my opinion, comes from. It's all the DAO's treasury. So while the TMDC, in my opinion, could move it, like Ken said, just by a TMDC vote, we basically, like, I was one of the ones that suggest that I would rather this just be a community vote because it's such a consequential decision in terms of that stable stack. So I'm not sure it's super relevant. Discussion around should this allocation go back to the TMDC? I mean, to Willie's point, if we basically get back more Fox, you could argue like whatever the TMDC put in, they could get back, and the rest goes to the rest of the treasury. I'm not sure. I think that's a good thing to discuss in the forum. But to me, it's not really the important or time-sensitive matter. We could always reallocate that later. We could allocate it back over to the TMDC if it doesn't go there now on this Fox or not.
Yeah, no, I get it. Thanks, John. Thanks, Ken. No, I'm just wondering because I know before the the latest allocation passed, there were some questions about the allocations that were given to the TMDC. I mean, there's some large amounts of the treasury, and I know some community members were asking about that. So if we're at another point where it's we're asking the community to once again, put something up. I know that it's all treasury funds, but there's the control of.
I mean, none of this. No matter what happens here, we're either getting Fox back or not. None of this would require a TMDC needing to ask for more allocation at the moment. So it won't affect that if that's what someone's concerned about.
Thanks. Thank you, John, for clearing that up, and thank you, Ken. Go ahead. I'll let you continue. If you had other things to say.
I think that's my spiel for this. The last thing I just want to reiterate what John just said is this is a time-sensitive issue. Thus, the plan is to speed run the governance process for this, basically having just a 3-day actual on-chain vote, should it make it to that, and just being mindful of the smallest time frames for everything. Because as this happens, as we discuss this, The tribe community is discussing, they'll be holding a few votes. One is active right now, deciding how to handle this. Again, all of this is completely moot if they decide to do a pro rata distribution, and this was just an interesting exercise of governance. But I think there's a decent chance that the OTC offer will get approved on their part. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and be sure to chime in the forum if you have any thoughts, and we'll keep you updated in tokenomics too.
Thanks, Kent. Thanks for taking the time to write this up and put something actually down into the forum. I know, like you said, it was a discussion point earlier, but you took the time out your day to get this written up and posted. So appreciate it. I'll definitely go back and read it again. It's kind of hard reading it while you were up here on stage and talking about it. So thank you so much, everyone else. Please take a look and see this proposal as well as anything else that might be in there. It's always good to be informed and to participate in our governance process. So thank you everyone for joining.